Okay, welcome. Today is October the 5th, September the 5th,
September the 5th.
and this is a meeting of the Capital Outlay Committee. And we have an agenda which we, thanks to Pete, we're going to share.
So
Okay.
I wish you enjoyed it.
You all saw the minutes of the meeting of August the 15th.
I'll move approval of the minutes of August 15th.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We're good. We don't have a recording secretary today, so when you speak, please speak clearly so that when the tape is run, Charlene will be able to transcribe our words. We are asked to speak clearly and slowly. And if you're from New Jersey, slowly, Angelo, slowly. Okay, old business. We were hoping to review and discuss Article 36 from the May annual town meeting regarding the potential changes to the capital plan.
I'm with you. So the material that I passed out last time, I did have an opportunity to kind of read today the material again. I read what the material was that was recorded by the town clerk. So the changes that were officially adopted were as follows. So under the, obviously the structure stayed the same on 952. The Capital Outlay Committee shall assist the town administrator in the development of the capital plan. Now this is what was added: to be adopted and/or amended each year at the annual town meeting, and may, at the request of the town administrator and/or the Board of Selectmen, assist the town administrator in the preparation of the capital outlay budget. So they've added a definition to what's going to be done. On the next section here, they have, they added the word town's major capital improvement needs. They kept the 50,000, that was bolded, but they kept the 50. I think they were contemplating changing it, but they did not change it. And then under 965, a simple majority vote of town meeting shall be required to adopt the 7-year capital outlay plan as submitted. Any amendment to the previously adopted capital plan shall require a 2/3 vote at the annual town meeting. So what I was gonna do, just administratively, we have the plan that was adopted last year, and what I'll do, somebody had asked me to do, maybe it was you, Bruce, this past year, anyone that added something new or different to highlight it.
Yeah.
So I'll do the same thing. I'll just bold any change in it. So when it goes to town meeting, the plan as changed would be
We'll see the-
bolded.
we'll
would
see the
require
changes.
the 2/3 vote.
Yeah.
As opposed to the simple majority. And then 967, because it has a 7-year plan, there were elements that came up, and it did make it into the motion, that with the exception of petition articles and CPC articles, that, let me see, any article for annual or special town meeting warrant which requests a capital outlay as defined earlier, but which is not included in the current year of the capital plan as adopted by town meeting, shall require approval of the Capital Outlay Committee, the Board of Selectmen, and the Finance Committee, and any such article shall require 2/3 vote of town meeting to act fully thereon. So petition articles, obviously there's no 7-year plan because any petition, any 10 people can get together and do a petition article, so that can happen at any time in the budget cycle, so you can't have it in the plan already. And CPC is a 1 year as you go. So I think what the intent of this is just to kind of say, if anyone wants to change it during the process, shall require approval of the Capital Outlay Committee, the Board of Selectmen, and the Finance Committee, and any such article shall require 2/3 vote at town meeting.
So all three groups.
Yes,
So 2 out of 3 doesn't make it, 1 out of 3 doesn't make it.
right.
There's an and there.
There's an
It's
and there.
not and/or.
Excuse me, Chris. Is there any time schedule on this? Like, can people submit a thing the night of town meeting?
No.
What is the limit? When can they,
Well, there's the petition articles that we have in the budget calendar, which I didn't bring a copy of my budget calendar, but 10 people could get together, the Board of Selectmen say, you know, it has to be in by whatever the date is, let's say February 5th, and then it gets deliberated at that point.
okay, so it's not, we're not gonna get any surprises at town meeting?
No.
No. Okay,
But we could have, I mean, just as a theoretical, I don't know, let's pick a fire truck. Let's
Yeah.
say the capital outlay say no, citizen petition comes in, 10 people say, no, we really want the fire truck anyway. They submit the 10, they say, this is the truck we want, this is the amount, and technically it's outside of the process, but it has to be deliberated, obviously, by town meeting.
okay, I understand. Thank you.
So
And then,
I'm sorry.
oh, I'm sorry, just last comment. These were changes that were voted at last year's town meeting. They will be on the ballot for this year. My suggestion would be that we should kind of treat them as if they're in place, just to kind of have the practice for this year. And then if they get voted by the voters, then it'll be official next year. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Do you see how this affects the way we're doing the groundwork in this committee? Or is it more administratively how it's presented?
I think the only thing that's a little unusual is, you know, in here, any article submitted for the annual, that the 3 different agencies have to, the Selectmen, Capital Outlay, and the Finance Committee all have to approve it for it to go on.
For it to go on as an article?
For the recommendation, yeah. So if there was, for instance, if Selectmen and Capital Outlay say yes and FinCom says no, then I would imagine that there has to be an amended motion made at town meeting, because then it wouldn't necessarily be
So
adopted.
the vehicle to make that happen would be, there has to be an opportunity for the 3 entities to get together and to look what's being presented, correct? Okay. Yes?
Are we talking about a 7-year plan or a 5-year plan?
7.
7.
They recommended changing to 5. There's nothing in the records that show that that change
So
was
that didn't
proposed.
happen.
That did not
It's
happen.
still 7.
It is still
Okay.
7.
That's what, and that's what is critical on, it speaks to the 7-year plan.
Yeah.
So that, Angela?
Just a question about the petition articles. It strikes me that the role of petition articles is to allow the residents to present an article on anything they want.
Mhm.
This changes that. But is there, if you went to an article where it talked about petitions, what would happen if somebody sued because they wanted their thing on? I thought that petition articles were something that residents could do, and that's why it was there, and that's why it was in everything we have here. This
Yeah.
changes it. This just gets rid of petition articles.
No, it just has a process. So it says, with the exception of petition, and it should say, or CPC articles, any article submitted for the annual or special town meeting which requests a capital appropriation needs to get the 3 approvals. A citizen petition article or a CPC article automatically gets to the town meeting.
Yeah, but what if I
It
want,
excludes that.
what if I want to build something, or, you know, that the town hasn't been talking about, and people turn it down, it doesn't get on? I'm just talking about what's the definition of a petition article?
Whatever 10 people submit
Right.
on the form.
That's right, and that's what it says. So we have a thing that says whatever 10 people submit
Yep.
is fine, and then we have this, which contradicts that. I'm just asking.
I don't think it contradicts it. I think what it does is it lays out a 2-track system. So if somebody wanted to come in at the last minute, you know, at the end of the capital budget process, and wanted to renovate the West Harwich schoolhouse, just to use that as an example, and that got on, any one of the 3 entities could kind of veto that if it was submitted in the regular form. Because no one, it's not a 7-year plan, what people submit for CPC and petition articles. I didn't know we were doing plastic bottles this past year. So people can submit whatever they want, and it just says that the 3 entities can't veto it. It needs to go before town meeting. The recommendations don't count the same, I
That's
guess.
not what this says. This says that if I come up with a petitioned article next week and give it to you, and it requires an expenditure of money,
Mhm.
and right now, before this article took place, it would be on the town meeting,
Yes.
right? Now, if I do the same thing, and finance doesn't like it, and the capital outlay committee doesn't like it, it doesn't go on the meeting. That's what
No.
this says.
It says with the exception of, so everything else follows that now 3-board veto process, except for the petition articles and CPC articles. They start, it's a little bit funny because they're starting with a negative to start a statement, but they're saying with the exception of, so if you submit a petition article, that this rule doesn't apply.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
I was
And
reading it as it
I'm just
applies.
trying to understand, because I didn't, this wasn't recommended by me. This was recommended by
No, I
someone
just-
else, so.
Sorry, I didn't understand.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. It Not worded the best.
Let's,
Is the idea behind this so that there wouldn't be any last-minute surprises to the capital plan?
I believe that's,
That's really
I
what the
believe that.
intention is?
it was the incident where not the incident, but the proposal for the the West Harwich School. Under this, because I think the West Harwich School, when that was proposed, I don't remember, one body supported it, or 2 bodies supported it, and one said no. Under this, that wouldn't be allowed to go
Right.
forward.
Okay.
it's, I just want to make a point here. I know we're spending time on it so we understand it. It would have helped us be part of the initial stage of discussing potential changes. It's not, and we're doing it post. And it's very difficult to find out what the authors of this really meant when they created these sections. I think the beginning of it, and I have a different version than you, I have page 42 in my,
Yeah, I
oh,
have.
yeah, you have a different version.
This
Yeah,
is
that's
just
a
the
working-
town clerk's
Okay,
after the fact
special one, yeah.
report.
If you get a chance, it's on page 42, chapter 9 of Article 36. And I think 9-5-1, 9-5-2, and 9-6-2 are in fact statements and that I'm going to be using when I take the presentation of the capital outlay for everyone to understand that's what we do. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. It states that the plan belongs to the town administrator, and we're there to support them, okay? So that's good. We get a better understanding. It's a working document. Understanding this also is a working document in case somebody does come in. So we don't need to spend a lot of time on it. We'll know if there's a petition article that's coming to us. I guess much like the historic stuff in West Harwich when they come in.
But that did follow the capital process,
Okay.
that one. I can't recall one.
Well, we get to
that-
hear, my point is, we get to hear petition articles.
Yep.
So that's part of it. The other thing, are we done with that? We're good? Okay. One other thing, and I know, Carol, we got the town debt, and you did a great job. If you try to put this on an iPhone, it doesn't really, it's really kind of tough. I used all my minutes with, on my phone. That's,
Get an iPad.
I have 4. We have 4 iPads.
This is the first time I've ever seen a document like this. Congratulations, that's great, great job.
Did a great job. A lot of detail. Now we gotta go home and absorb it.
You shortened it? No, I don't want to see the long version.
Do you want to just walk people through
I'm a firm believer, you know,
how to read it? Because I thought I heard at the beginning there that.
I just want to make one comment. One, we were meeting today, and it's on the agenda. No, it's not on the agenda, because we didn't forecast it when we met last time. We were supposed to hear from the fire department today. They had a special request to speed up
The Quint truck.
the Quint truck procurement, requesting it at special town meeting, but there's no town meeting, so there's no Quint. Bada boom. So that's where we stand right now. We had lengthy conversations with the fire department, and I prior to the Board of Selectmen deciding not to have it, we had conversations with them, and I told them that we would support them if we understood what they, it was complex in terms of timelines, how good one truck was till a given date, and the other sort of timing of purchasing, ordering, and delivery. So that was why I wanted to get it in today prior to them doing their presentation, so, because it was going to affect special town meeting. And now I give it to you, Carol.
Sure, thank you.
Yep.
So the documents you have before you, if we were just to remove this initially. The first set of stapled documents in the top left-hand corner, it says actual authorized proposed debt service. And then underneath that, it says actual debt service as of June 30th, 2019. And so these are all the bonds that the town has sold over the years that are existing and that we're paying the debt on. So that includes the debt that we secured back in June of 19 and all of the years prior. It shows you when the principal and interest, this shows you when the principal and interest is paid off. And for this document, I did not shorten it at all. I brought it right out to when the final debt will be paid on this. And that's 2039 on your existing debt. So the first 4 pages are just mostly all of your individual schedules of debt for whatever project they may be. This includes your betterments, this includes any school repairs that you've done, police construction, road construction, water debt is here as well. If you flip to, and if I'm going too fast, tell me, but if you flip to page 5 of 6 of the first document, you'll see that we have color-coded these items. The first kind of orangey color is non-exempt debt that's tax-supported, so it's within Proposition 2.5. And that's kind of the orange summary here. The yellow is the exempt debt, so it's outside of Proposition 2.5, and that shows you principal and interest payments that are upcoming. The blue is self-supporting debt, so that may be water debt. It'll be the portion of the debt that's for Saquotucket Harbor that they're securing themselves, or Cranberry Valley, that's being paid for by fees. And then you have a total here in white of all of a combination of those different categories. And then at the bottom it says existing overlapping debt. And what that is, Monomoy School District debt and the Cape Cod Regional Technical High School debt. Those are the new bonds. And those are the payment schedules that include principal and interest over the life of those bonds.
Excuse me, Carol. Has Monomoy, I know they had bands in between, but have they got a final, have they borrowed the final amount of money they need to pay off?
They have a small band, about $124,500 that they are going to be borrowing for a final time. And you'll see here in the column that's labeled 2021.
Yeah.
the Harwich's estimated portion of that ban, the final payoff of that ban.
The
We're
90
making-
That's a
95.
bond anticipation note, that's what they call it.
correct. That's
But
correct.
when are they gonna take out the 40 million or the?
They did already.
They did.
So you'll see that here when it says, on the third line in that yellow area, towards the bottom of the page, it says Monomoy RSD on the left-hand side. It's under the category.
Yeah, I see it, right, okay.
And then it says 2014 bonds, and
Yeah.
it assumes a 73%
I got it, right,
estimate,
okay.
and those are those bonds.
Okay, thank you.
Principal and interest.
I think that was 24 years in total was what that borrowing was.
And I assume they got a very good rate, based on what's happening right now.
39 is when it's paid off, so that would be 25 years.
25 years.
I had actually spoken with Evan last year, and I think he might have contacted you, Carol. There was a state sewer relief grant, I think it was $1 million. Have we actually borrowed, it doesn't look like we've actually borrowed any yet, or you tell me. Do we have debt that would apply as sewer debt yet?
We have, this fiscal year, we signed notes for state revolving loan fund at 0%
Right.
interest.
Right,
That's this year in FY '20.
right.
But they have not gone out and sold those bonds yet. So those, that's coming in the next section
Right.
of the document
Oh,
that I'm
okay.
going to explain
All right,
to you.
but other than, in this document that Evan looked into, I mean, it was unclear, you know, it says, and I'll send it eventually again to the right people. But it said that this grant was exclusive of other grants. I don't honestly know if the state revolving fund is considered a grant, pardon me?
I recall the.
Yeah, I don't really know if the state revolving fund is considered a grant, you know, in their language or not. But it was very clear that that $1 million that was available only applied to debt, not to a new expense.
I do recall that.
Right.
I'm trying to think, I had a conversation with the gentleman from that agency, and I didn't think that what we were doing was eligible. He said that we would use the SRF.
Well,
That's a vague
yeah,
recollection.
we weren't eligible last year. We didn't have any debt anyway. This year, I don't know, so. Want me to just send it off?
Yeah, if you send that again,
Sure.
we could look at that.
Okay, thanks.
So the next section of, unless you have questions on the first one.
The land acquisition, is that all being paid off? I'm trying to see the last date on the land acquisition that we did.
CPA funds,
Yeah,
2024 is when they're all paid off.
and that's the last of that.
So now you have authorized but unissued.
So the next section is authorized and unissued debt, so this is what's gone before, voters, and has been authorized and approved, but we haven't borrowed the money yet. And for the most part, we certainly don't want to borrow until you've expended the funds. Some of it we have short-term notes on, but we have not gone out and sold bonds for these projects.
Before we go to, I mean, we have the present, the future, and long-term projected. What is the bottom number of total debt? Is the 81 million, is it 81 million?
So, if you
Just want to know if we didn't do anything in the future and we just stood where we were today. In other words, we owe people, what is the number today that we're dealing with?
that the town is in debt for,
Yes,
Yeah.
81,147,000.
that's what I thought. And what's our revenue per year? Do you have any idea?
Total revenue?
Yeah.
It's like 70 million, 79 million.
But but the 81 million is spread out till 39.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just, yeah, I mean,
I'm with you.
So if we didn't add anything more to it,
Right. It would be paid off by 39. We take in about 80, about 80. And whatever after regular, not all that 80 is going to debt service.
Right, only about 5 million for debt service,
Right.
give or take.
So I'm figuring, how much do you, if it's 5 million a year and we didn't take in any, if it stayed flat at 5 million on debt service per year, correct? And we got 80 million. 14, 15 years, 16 years? 16 years. If it hadn't been spread out to 39. That's okay. Okay. Tell us more good news.
So the next section is what, so again, it's what the voters have authorized. This document, I did shorten it, because the debt payments go out to 2052.
Ooh,
And, you know, I mean, this was gonna be a 50-page document. I didn't
Thank you.
really want to look at that.
I was concerned about 2050. I'll be 100
You
then.
need another phone.
So,
Phone.
You need another phone.
so I summarized 2040 to 2052 here, just to shorten the document a little bit. So these are, again, all the projects that have already been authorized. We have some short-term debt on some of them, especially the road projects, that what we've been doing, what the town's been doing over a number of years, is paying down those road maintenance projects, especially about $100,000 each year, just because the short-term rates have been more favorable in the past. I don't know that that's going to continue to happen, so we'll continue to watch the market.
Who decides when you start looking at cost of capital?
Well, so the town works with Hilltop Securities, which is a financial advisor, and so we work closely with that firm, but, you know, the town administrator and I will have conversations and discussions about it, and certainly, you know, we would welcome finance committee chiming in, or board of selectmen, or, you know, we would welcome any.
We try to keep it level, so like a good example is because we didn't have a road bond project get approved this year, so we probably would, you know, we spend about 350,000 each year. We are limited by how the length of time we could do short-term borrowings. It was 5 years, but now they've moved it out to 10, yeah. So we've been keeping it at about 5 years. Within the last 2 or 3 years, they've moved it from 5 to 10 years out. But just by doing it short term, the interest rate is so significantly less that we've been trying to do that.
Is all our debt based on bonds?
No,
we do
because
any-
we do the road maintenance as bands, so we always do that short term. So
Okay.
if you think about it, we do short term and long term.
Okay.
We have some borrowing for like SRF money, state revolving loan
Okay.
as well.
Excuse me, Carol, by any chance,
Wait a minute.
I'm sorry, I thought you were finished.
No, okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Peter. He had his hand up.
Um,
I forgot.
um,
Don't worry about
I'll come back to me.
it. Okay. Yes.
I-
Got it? You got it, Pete?
Yeah, I'm
Okay,
sorry.
hit it.
Do you happen to know, Carol, how much the bonds, how much they sell for and what interest yield they have?
Well, see,
The municipal bonds that are issued by the town of Harwich.
so I have a schedule of that, all of those, that I can run downstairs and get.
No, it's not that
I
important.
don't know
I
those
just wanna-
numbers right off the top of my head.
Okay, that's all right.
But they do range from, you know, from anywhere between 2% to 4.5%, depending on when they were issued.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
Want to buy direct? There's a discount.
You don't pay tax on them.
Oh, I understand. That's what I'm saying. You want to direct through the town.
Yeah, I can save money by buying from Carol direct.
Question, what is the total principal and interest for our capital debt service, however we're borrowing? What's the total number if we did not do everything next year? In other words, the total forever, so for next year, we have X millions of dollars that we may be spending.
So if you just so that I know that I understand your question, what is the total amount that the town is in debt for, that they're obligated to pay today?
That's-
Okay, so if you go to the first document that I showed you, and you go to page 6 of 6, and you go to the right-hand column on the bottom of the page, between the school district debt, technical high school debt, and the town's debt, it's $81,147,570.
Did you,
That's
yeah,
not my question.
for the year, for next
My
year,
question
fiscal
is,
year?
Next year,
Right.
Yeah.
we have to charge taxes or whatever to
Right.
pay this debt off. What is that number?
So go to page 5 of 6.
We don't get very friendly with this baby. Okay.
And the first column that has numbers in it that's labeled 2020, you go down to the bottom of the page, $7,658,712.
So if we didn't borrow any money, we didn't spend any additional money, that is what we have to cover.
Mhm.
Thank you.
So the 81 million would be subtracted, you could subtract 7 million from it?
After you pay the debt for
Right.
2020.
Okay,
But that's assuming you're not adding
anymore,
anymore.
okay.
Right, and we have stuff that's authorized but unissued, which would mean that should be anticipated to be spent. Authorized but unissued.
So
That's where we're
Second
going.
schedule.
the second schedule, so go to page 404. Are you looking for just 1 year?
Yeah, I'm looking for next year.
Go to page, well,
What's debt service for next year?
Yeah,
That-
I mean, at a point in time, we're gonna have to know how much money has to go in taxes, how much money has to come from wherever. And I think that's the kind of question that the townfolk, residents wanna know. Where are we starting?
so, the town is not required to make these payments in the year 2020 in the authorized and unissued, because we haven't sold those bonds yet. But do we anticipate selling some bonds? Do we anticipate paying down some short-term debt? We do, but we're not required to.
Okay,
I think,
So,
so this is what is required next year.
that's correct.
And then there's another number which is, you add to
We,
this.
we
and this.
anticipate expending page, if you go to page 3 of 4 of the next document, it's labeled proposed debt service authorized and unissued, and you go to the column that's 2020, page 3 of 4,
Yeah.
and it says, at the bottom number here is $515,678.
So if we don't do anything, it's,
Correct. I will tell you that the schedule that you're looking at here includes the milestones that are incorporated into the IMA agreement with the town of Chatham. There's 3 payments of $1.5 million. Once you meet the milestones, those payments will be due in the town of Chatham. So those are scheduled here, preliminary schedule, because I have not received any, something, kind of a final, this is, you can rely on this date yet, but I we scheduled the first $1.5 million payment for us to borrow that money, and the first payment's due in 2021. And the second $1.5 million payment that reaches that second milestone, that I believe is 5 years from the date of the signing of the agreement, is scheduled out in 2022, and then the last $1.5 million, I have it scheduled here in 2023. These could change.
Yeah,
It's-
I think if I remember right, on the IMA, it's on the second payment. We already paid the first payment because you had to pay that upon execution of the document, or within a year, or whatever the terminology was. Once we send flow to Chatham, then that actually becomes operative or a date, a drop dead date. If we don't send it, then we still own the money. That's kind of what I was getting at with the IMA. We've contracted to spend the money, so authorized and unissued, you know, the assumption should be that that money is most likely going to be spent.
So, we got one more?
We have one more.
Okay, and then after
So the next package of documents here is based on the current capital plan that's
all
in
yellow.
place.
that, all yellow on the front.
Yes, and it says proposed debt service not yet authorized.
Anticipated, right?
And so with this, I have just estimated when the town may decide to borrow the funds that are listed in the current capital plan. Certainly subject to change. I did shorten this as well. This goes out to 2078. So,
Pete, let us know what the scoop is, all right?
I will.
Okay? Good.
I'll send you an email.
I just didn't think you wanted to see.
On my phone. Is there anything here that looks like, oh, you got the quint. Out of these yearly entries, I don't have a better word for it, but these are all projected. Okay, it's projected that these capital expenditures are probably going to happen,
Correct.
correct?
On the proposed ones?
Yes.
The one that, these are, because it's proposed, this could be delayed, so.
Or they could go
these-
away, too.
Oh, they could go away.
Okay. What's the definition of a ban?
A ban is a bond anticipation note, so that
Okay.
is just,
Holding it?
like, if the fire station's a great example, is you don't want to borrow all the money unless you know what the overall project is going to cost. So
Okay.
you borrow usually the first year, get a sense what your actual, and then you bond it for the long term.
Okay.
Unless the market's favorable, then you do it. But these ones, I mean, just holy mackerel, you look at sticker shock, if you go to page 4, you know, the total indebtedness, because I know Angela was just waiting to ask that question, is $876
Million?
million.
What do you grow these at? What do you anticipated rate? A 4%, 3%?
I use 3%,
Okay.
and I assumed that SRF funding, the town was not going to get a 0% interest rate. It's just trying to be
2%.
conservative. So it could get better, it could be worse. I don't know what the market's going to do.
Well, I'm talking about from the principal standpoint.
Principles, well, depends on the life of the, so you have to estimate the life of the, either equipment or project. And so those, it would be broken down based on the life expectancy and the useful life.
Like I'm just picking Saquatucket Harbor, East and North Bulkhead.
So Saquatucket Harbor, I believe we brought out to 20 years.
Okay.
And that was at 3%?
That was under.
And we're anticipating that happening in 2026.
We are,
Yes. If you use 2% on, and then everything else 3%?
yes.
If we were still a AA plus, then we would, I think we use 4%, but because the rating has gone, the AAA rating, the numbers have come in more favorable, so I'm gonna
Okay.
drop that.
Okay. This is really good. If this could be the baseline, I think we need, there's a lot of information here, okay? And there's a lot I'm sure you held back. Of course, you're sitting at a table full of PhDs, so this is,
A lot of numbers.
no, this is really good. Are you sharing this with the Finance Committee?
Yes.
Okay. If there's work on this, I think we need a joint effort, so we're not, they and we are not in the cloud or,
Yep.
blind.
I think one thing just to put on the table, Larry Ballantyne has asked for us to put together some materials, more so Carol, on kind of the budget, and we're gonna do like a budget workshop, with this being probably a piece of that budget workshop. We're trying to figure out a way to keep it to like within an hour. I mean, it's a ton of material, and to keep everything within a certain amount of time.
Just
it's gonna
describing
be
the colors is an hour.
It's gonna be a challenge, but, so we've been asked to put something together, so we are looking at doing that, hopefully in the next 3 to 4 weeks. or
Board of
before we-
Selectmen meeting or a separate?
We'd do a separate one, but we would invite you guys, Capital Outlay, Finance, and Selectmen to have that workshop together.
Yeah, I think, it's, if you look at what Andrew and I have been, and Doreen have been on both committees, and Noreen, and the issue that I have is, this is not operating budget kind of stuff, in terms of the left-hand column. These are all over $50,000. They're all capital expenses. They all fall under our responsibility. The debt service piece of it, as an operating expense, is certainly the Finance Committee's purview. So, they're concerned from at least I would be concerned, from an operating budget standpoint, can I do the debt? And that's why I think it's a good idea to have the joint view, so we're not left out. Yes, sir.
Well, I think it also tells us something else. It tells us that if we did nothing more, we'd have to come up with an additional $500,000 roughly. I think that's the number you gave. And we would have to spend $8 million in total. So for next year, if we did nothing, that's where we'd be.
Right, you still have $8.5 million that have to be
Right,
paid.
but, so if the selectmen are as concerned as they stated in a number of their meetings of keeping the total expenditures at a certain level, it's gonna have a big impact on what we can approve.
Well, I think you have to explain, I guess, what we're committed to versus what we can add to the committal part. Okay? And I agree with you. If we did nothing, we're still committed. Like at home. If you were home and you sat all day and you're retired, and it still costs you taxes, food, entertainment and stuff.
Fixed
and
cost.
Your fixed, right, exactly. What's your fixed cost? And if your fixed cost, I don't know, $20,000, your revenue better be more than $20,000. And that's not the time, if your revenue is $21,000 and your committal cost is $20,000, you're not buying a new car that year. So, if you put it in layman's terms, it's very simple. That's what we're running a household here, or a business. And,
Yeah, I think what we're trying to articulate is, like this past year, the budget went up 7.2%. Out of that 7.2%, and just rough numbers here, just to make it easy, probably about 4% of it was debt service. So the more you go out and buy a car or buy a house or do different things, you're gonna drive that 7%, 4% of it. The 3.2 was paying for police, fire, DPW, everything else, all in, including the schools. So the question is, if you don't wanna have it be 7.2% for out years, what are you gonna look at? So do you look at the debt, which you can have an impact on that, or do you look at operations? So, to have some people say, well, you're 7.2, why didn't you bring it in at 2.5? Well, mathematically, 7% was already authorized as debt exclusions. So that was already above and beyond Prop 2.5. There has to be a education to how do you, if you want to slow that down, how do you slow it down?
Well, what's even worse is if we have to do the wastewater, there's certain debt we have to go after, which means that if we had to keep the numbers someplace, it has to come out of some other place. And that's gonna be very difficult.
well, I think it's not even out of another place. There's a lot of things that we've talked about throughout the years, we have assets that can be converted to cash to be used for debt service. It's like, my example is, I just bought a new set of clubs, and I had old clubs sitting in the basement. Why are they sitting in the basement? Just trade them in, and they add the credit to the price of new clubs. So if we want to go buy something and we got something old, it's time to get rid of it. We've taken this from the Finance Committee back when Skip was around, and the police chief, we've been singing this, and in this committee too. How many times do we look at assets, and some find them historical, whatever. But I think there are other ways to gain revenue to pay debt. And
Sure, you can raise rates that we charge.
you could,
People don't seem to like to do that, but we could do that.
as long as it's legal.
Yeah.
You're within the bounds of the state. Yeah, I'm, there's just so much the taxpayer is going to pay. And not the normal, but the average taxpayer is willing to go and expend on stuff that's relative to him. Like the ambulance coming to my door, the fireman putting out the fire, the policeman helping me, whatever, in an accident. The question is, and we have to live with it, the water that you flush and how you get rid of the waste in your house. But those are legalities that we have to deal with. But there's other ways to help debt service. And we're committed to the debt service that's on the first sheet. And the second and third sheets, we got to think about. So. Yes, sir.
I really appreciate the work you did on this, Carol. I mean, this is the first time I've ever seen anything like this. I think all the committees, the finance committee, this is going to see a lot of use.
Well, I'm going to send a copy to Chris Harlow, because
This is-
this is what Chris Harlow had been
Was looking for it.
praying for.
Yeah.
So this is going to call the Chris Harlow
I'll send you
exercise.
the updated because I updated all of this and summarized some of it, so I'll send you a new one.
You don't have to. It's easy, it's easier this way if we,
This one.
yeah.
So I'll send this to you.
No, don't send it. You can deliver it next meeting if you want.
Oh, deliver it. Okay.
Yeah, it's, again, it doesn't go well on here. It really- And I got a little iPad.
Is he coming
Oh.
back, Chris Harlow?
No, this
He
is
moved
what
out of town.
this is what he's,
Yeah, that's what I thought.
yeah, this is what he's asked for.
Yeah, so you can mail it to him.
Only teasing. He doesn't care about it anymore. He sold the house. Okay, so,
If you like to look at graphs,
yes,
Yeah.
if you're a graph person.
Yes.
You find that helpful.
Okay.
I found the bottom graph most helpful in just visualizing when is the existing debt paid off, and what about the what we call overlapping debt, that is with like Monomoy Regional School District and the technical high school, when is that going to be paid off? And then when you're bringing on new debt, what have you, voters already authorized you to borrow? And then what do you anticipate asking your voters in the future? And that's the purple one.
let me
So
just,
the blue one is, and these are small print, so.
It's all the same information, just shown graphically.
Exactly. So the blue section is your existing, again, the red section is your, what we call overlapping debt. The green is what's been authorized but unissued, and then the purple is what,
okay.
based
So
on your
The red for overlapping is like Monomoy.
Monomoy and the technical.
Can
high
we,
school.
I know this is black and white, and I think you had some bar charts or something in the back, didn't you? Or one time?
I put in for, we're gonna probably do a separate booklet, so we could do some of that in color. 'cause
I would
we'll
like-
produce that ourselves.
I'd like this in color, okay? And if you can have a key, I know you've got a key on the bottom, but the example of the key,
Like
What-
overlapping debt school, because
schools,
that's our assessment.
schools or whatever,
Oh,
Yep.
yeah.
and then existing would be whatever. And so they understand, like you just said, overlapping debt
Yeah.
is,
Yeah.
if I didn't know what overlapping debt, you know.
Because the average
It's not your average
resident isn't
financial
gonna
term.
necessarily know that off the top of his head.
Okay, this is excellent. I think
Yeah.
if they want to spend time and make an appointment or attend one of our meetings, they're more than welcome. And I speak to the camera to this, if any resident of Harwich wants to come and spend some time with us looking at these charts, you're more than welcome. We'll try to make it as easy to be included in the May of 2020 town, the warrant. And in the warrant, or if there's a separate booklet, I think it should be called a financial booklet. And if the Finance Committee has some charts or operating budget things that they want for the town to know, I certainly would include this, and I'm sure Jack Brown would too. I think this is this is,
You save money next year.
I'm sorry?
I said, if we don't do anything, we save money next year.
Yeah,
That's right.
well, you know, that goes along with what we talked about a couple of weeks ago, is where do we get to a point where we say no? And those points of saying no gives us, what you're looking at is, if you do nothing, and if you do nothing, that's the result of saying no. And so, I don't know if we can do that, but close, lowering that 7.5, if you said 4 is fixed of that? Is that?
The 4%, but, well,
No?
there's different elements, like just, you know, one of the things, just looking at that, if you go to page 5 of 6, I think this is kind of a little bit illustrative of what Carol's showing on some of these charts. You look at the debt service for Cape Tech on the bottom of the page, 910 in this year's budget, and then 735, and that starts to go down a little bit over time. Now, that number will fluctuate because if the number of kids
Yeah.
going to the school changes, that changes the assessment. You look at Monomoy, it's at 1.554, and in 10 years from now, which approximately is 10 years, it goes down to 1.1. So as those drop off, you know, the way we've always tried to do it, I'll say we, because I think that that's very true, we try to backfill some of that to try to maintain levels, because, you know, that's a nice thing to say, well, let's just not do anything next year. The first thing on the list is the Quinn truck. You know, I mean, that's gonna be a hard decision. So some things I think have to kind of go. You can do some, because as that debt falls off, you can backfill. You know, the idea is, how do you do this efficiently, and how can you delay things? I think the sewer project's one where that can, some elements of that may be able to be delayed. Some elements we don't have in here, or do we have in here? If we go to full fruition with the Dennis, Harwich, and Yarmouth agreement, that's $20 million of just capital savings on the plant, that takes one of these spikes off.
So
That
this is based
hasn't
on
been-
DH1.
That does include in
This
here?
is based on DH1.
Okay, so we have that in there. That spike was even higher because it was $20 million more if we built our own plant.
Let me ask a question. On the Monomoy overlapping debt, what is the meaning of assumed 73 assessment? Is that the 7327?
Yes,
Split?
73% is the
it's
enrollment.
Harwich, 73% is Harwich.
But doesn't that change every year?
Yeah.
It can change, yes.
Has it changed since we initiated the agreement?
I think it has. I think it's gone from 71 to 73 in the time I've been here. It's been small migration, but it's been migrating.
My understanding, they don't change it every year. They review it every 3 years.
It's a 3-year rolling average. You're absolutely right.
And it's gone down for us?
It's actually gone.
Oh.
And it will continue to go up.
Chatham has less kids than we do.
And they're getting more or less.
They're getting
More or less. Well, that's,
I don't know
yeah,
if that English is right, but yeah.
yeah, I think that's, I'm not a math. Okay. Wonderful job. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
We'll keep up with you as we anticipate what this thing is going to look like. And not only, I think something like this, but at one time, we looked at the evaluation of an average house in Harwich being
Oh, yeah.
375,000.
She's done that.
Yeah, and I'm
You see that
well, I'm
again.
saying that with something like this, sort of puts a financial color on what it is to live in this town and anticipate living in this town. Okay, now, everybody okay with that?
Yep.
Yep.
So Karen brought up all little stars to put on, little gold stars so that we can anticipate. The next meeting is September 24th.
A schedule of who's coming in on these.
Yeah,
Excuse me, Rich.
Instructions.
I think we should have a discussion on the upcoming meetings.
that's what I'm talking about.
But you said the next meeting is the 24th.
What I'm reading is from here. It
The
says the next
24th.
meeting is the 20th.
Right. But,
I was going to give you the dates, and then we can decide.
We have the,
Okay,
when
okay.
I sent out the instructions, I did tentatively put in the different departments that would be meeting those nights.
yeah, the problem is, a lot of us are not going to be able to make certain meetings, and we want to be at the meetings.
Yeah, if you want to jockey around, to be honest, I just looked at the schedule. and
No,
just put them in
we agreed to this.
on the dates.
Yeah,
But I think what departments are going to be on those dates.
you can't make the dates. The dates are the difficult part for people.
Yes.
The dates,
And-
not,
The other people, too. Maureen's
Well, I
gonna be-
thought if you wanted to hear like a fire department presentation and we couldn't do it on that date, would you want to move them to another date?
No, I can't make the first 3 meetings.
okay. See, that's what I'm talking.
And
Yeah,
how many-
I'm with
It really doesn't make a difference who's showing up. You don't have an audience. That's the,
Well, Maureen's not going to be there, and he's not going to be at one of the meetings
yeah,
either.
we need,
I can't make the first 3 meetings, but I might have more interest in some departments than others, so I would be interested in jockeying them around.
I just need to,
well, he has the
Let me
calendar,
know.
because he has other meetings.
the reason for the 24th is they're all due in by the 20th, so I just need a couple days to process. I think it's a Friday, so.
Well,
Could I ask something?
sure.
And I know your schedule, I haven't lived through it, but I know your schedule is difficult in the fall. How badly would it hurt to move everything back a week, to start on October 1st instead of September 24th?
That doesn't, we're meeting the first anyway.
No, but I mean to have the meetings be the
Have all the
first, second,
schedule-
Well, because we're working on a deadline of October what? When do we need to? It's all scheduled, we're working backwards from delivering it to the Board of Selectmen.
I'm just responding to Peter's.
Yeah.
So maybe just to
Go ahead.
at least suggest, I had September 24th, I had fire and police, September 26th, library, planning, community center, and cemetery.
We have those.
If I move those to the October 1st, 3rd, 8th, and 10th, I mean, I could shift those 2 meetings to the last 4.
What was the 26th one?
The 24th is fire and police. They're usually pretty good about getting theirs in on time. The 26th, library, planning, community center, and cemetery. I think I did the 26th a little bit light.
Do you
because I'm
have a
gonna be
problem with the
away.
calendar? How many meetings you can't make?
3,
The first 3.
right,
Pete, first 3?
I can't make the first 3, right?
right.
Just the last one.
The last one.
The last one is
Last
water,
one,
wastewater, and
the 10th?
administration.
The 10th.
The 10th.
Okay. Well, the first, if we have to have a meeting, we need a quorum, so it's like me and you showing up, the three of us showing up, unless we can count on Joe, and he's got other stuff too. I guess my recommendation is we start the 3rd, and just forget about the other 3. Squeeze everything in, and the assumption is the
So
3rd,
24th and 26th and the 1st.
gone.
Okay, I got you. 'Cause the
because we
first
don't have a
3
quorum.
Yeah, that's a good
We
point.
can't guarantee that Joe's gonna be here if he, yes, sir.
Is,
And
is
you know
the,
2 are gonna not be here for the first 3 meetings.
Do you have the graph on who should, what we owe? No?
Oh, the date, the
Yeah.
calendar, the budget calendar? Actually, that was one of the attachments. I think.
is the 10th the
Rich?
night that
I
we
should've
make our
printed
votes? What's the night that we make our votes?
Well, if,
I want to be here for that night.
yeah, and we can always, let me see, we need to see you
Maybe
got
the
that?
It's the
17th.
21st that the capital outlay committee submits the 7-year plan to the
Is-
town administrator.
Is that the first?
So we could, if the meeting is on the 10th, we could do the 17th. That gives short turnaround time, but
This is
17th?
yeah, because that way,
That works for me.
I think if you could have a full house for your final night that you're gonna vote
Okay,
everything. makes
let's,
sense.
let me,
Sorry.
okay. No, I'm just trying to figure this out.
pass this down.
So what I'm gonna ask you is that literally every other night you're here. That's,
Could I ask one question?
sure?
I haven't, lined up the material that Chris sent out along with next year's capital plan. Are there any scheduled departments on the list that Chris sent out that don't have a lot of activity next year?
We don't
There'll
know.
be
Sure.
some
There'll be some, yeah.
that won't have any. I just took ones that we've had
So my
historically.
question is, like you mentioned on one night, the library, planning, community center, and cemetery, I'm gonna take a wild guess and say 3 or 4 of those might not have
Right,
any action.
right.
So, that night doesn't, I'm not excluding the library, but,
The 26th, I'm away too, so I mean,
okay, so
26 of
there's a
what?
good one.
of September. I have a business meeting, so I won't be here for that.
Okay,
Could I ask a general question?
sure.
Why do people come in if they don't have something that year on the planning board?
The only thing I did was,
Excuse
I
me,
just,
on the,
whoever was on the schedule last year, I anticipated that they may be on the schedule this
Okay.
year.
I see.
The other thing is that we ask them to do something, and I think it's only fair, even if they don't have something, to come in and talk about what they've been doing, what they're anticipating,
Yeah, the
and they
status of
may not
project.
have something.
Yep.
But I think it's fair to everyone
Right.
who puts time in.
I agree, but I was only responding to the new dictates per the vote, that they can't insert something that's not already, even though it hasn't been voted yet. If it's not already on the plan for 21, then it's just talk.
No.
Well, you can recommend, it's a
Well-
2/3 vote as opposed to a
Okay,
simple
but you know what
majority.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah,
They might have something in the out years too.
Yeah.
We need to know that.
okay.
Yeah, so the 24th, the 26th, and the 1st are out. So the joint meeting, Cape
Could you go
Cod,
over that again?
the 24th,
Yeah,
the 26th,
yeah.
and October 1st are out,
Oh, okay.
okay? So this says that if we comply with the timeline, that on October 21st, we submit the 7-year plan to Chris. So we have October 10th, so if you take 3rd, 8th, 10th, the 8th and the 10th are the same week. So I'm assuming 10, 15.
Yeah, I think if you could do the 15th. Charlene has the Tuesday nights or the planning board nights, so she was trying to have those lighter. But I think I would rather do the 15th and get the final votes in, because I need to produce the.
So you might have to tighten up your invites.
Yeah.
So the 10th would be out and we'll make it the 15th?
No,
No, that we would, basically, the 3rd, the 8th, and the 10th would be all the committees, all the boards would come in and do their presentations. On the 15th, you guys would anticipate doing your votes. I have to have it, I'm supposed to have the material in the selectmen's package for the meeting of the 21st by Wednesday. That would be the 16th.
Can you do it by,
Yeah.
okay.
Because the big part is just getting all that information in there, so I'll do that before. But you're just gonna have a condensed schedule. You're gonna have 3 weeks of doing everything.
And the other thing is, if we have time and we've got a quorum, we'll vote. Okay?
Yeah, we've done that in the past.
Yeah.
And what I can do for you, I'm happy to do this, that once I get all the departments in, I'll do the new schedule, and you'll see what the new schedule is, and I'll highlight the changes, and I'll ship that out to you probably by like the 26th. I mean, I'll get that out to you well in advance of your meeting, so you'll have a good sense for all the material that's gonna be,
What do you got?
Is there any virtue to looking at the departments and seeing which ones only have things in out years, didn't have anything scheduled, and, by word of mouth that you haven't heard of anything that might require that, and putting a couple of those departments on the 19th of September, even though you don't have the request in yet, and thereby lowering,
Can you all make the
Gosh.
19th of September?
just a thought.
Yeah, I generally, it's like pulling teeth trying to get these things in.
I thought he said,
No, I'm not talking about them turning in the forms. I'm saying if there is,
On the schedule
on
itself.
the
for
current capital
2020.
plan, just a suggestion, if there are departments that either don't have anything or don't have anything until FY '25, or, I don't know, just an idea to create some room.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
So let me understand something. If they anticipate something new, they can't put it in?
Well, I'm gonna get everything on the 20th.
Yeah, and I'm saying if they have a request, they need a new furnace, and they need it next year. That's a new request that wasn't on last year's capital plan. They can't put it on?
No, they can. It would just be a 2/3 vote.
right,
A 2/3 vote?
At town meeting, that's all. Because it wasn't on the plan.
But it would still go in the capital plan.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I just need to bold it and say, this is new.
right.
Okay.
I think though, well, there's and I don't mean to point, apologize for pointing. So if people have, if I look at the schedule and like library, let's say, doesn't have anything for 2020, then, well, maybe that's not it. If library has something for 2020 and they are ones that submit it early generally, you want to see if I can get,
It
Now,
was
let's-
just an idea to lower.
Let's not confuse it.
All right,
I want to make it fair to every department that, puts time in, makes the effort, even if they don't have anything, but they've got thing in the past, or they want to discuss something. This is their 15 minutes of glory to come in and talk to us. They may never come in and talk to us. The other thing that we've used this, and Noreen, you weren't part of it, and Angelo, this is an opportunity for them to ask us, or for us to ask them, are you anticipating, like the CPC? Do you have anything going there where you need our help to support you? We've done that for the library, we've done that a couple of times, where we go in, sit in the meeting, raise our hand, we fully support, we voted, That's critical, and it knows that at least the Capital Outlay Committee is a supportive organization, okay? So, just, we start at 4 o'clock, we give them, and we can handle, we give them 20 minutes, bada boom. And if there's 6 that night,
yeah.
bring lunch, that's all.
Yeah, I was just gonna suggest, if I'm condensing from 6 meetings to 3,
Right.
then if we can go to 5:30, I'll just put in the time spots for 5:30 to give each one 20 minutes.
Whatever, yeah. You know which one, you know how to schedule them where
Yeah.
you got police, fire, DPW. Well, DPW, he's gonna come in, bada boom,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
police are gonna say, I buy cars, they're expense items, nothing else. or the fire department's, police is gonna say, whose elevator doesn't work? Was that fire or
Police
police?
was the original.
Right, I
elevator.
need more lubricant cans to make the elevator go up. So, that's the kind of stuff that we have to deal with, and it's fine. I think it's an opportunity for them to understand what's happening. Fire, probably gonna spend the most time with us. Police, I'm not a problem with that. Cemetery's not a problem. John Randone might have some stuff.
I think the golf is finished. I don't think they have anything.
Well, I think we got
Golf
questions
will
for
have-
golf
they'll
too,
just have
given,
small stuff.
Yeah.
yeah, yes.
So, the dates we're talking about now are the 3rd, the 8th, the 10th, and the 15th.
All in October,
Okay,
And the 15th, all in October.
right.
that's it. Okay,
15th would be the vote night.
that's the vote night. Okay.
And to confirm, we'll have received whatever they submitted in advance of the meeting to look it over.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna
And-
try to get that out before the end of September.
And
I
in
should be able to
essence-
Target the 26th.
If you want to come the 7th,
Yeah.
that's the presentation to the Board of Selectmen,
Correct.
and that'll basically say, we don't know what this new plan's going to look like because we haven't heard.
That's right.
I mean, we've heard one group, so we still have,
Still a work in process.
it's still a work in progress. So, that'll be the I always call it the State of the Union of the Capital Outlay Committee. And, October's going to be a busy month. Yes, sir.
You mentioned, excuse me, it's got started me.
Yeah.
You mentioned take a vote. What are we gonna be voting on? That we like this particular submission, or that we think this is the things that we have to do?
We're going to vote if they're going to say that I need it next year, we're going to say what our thoughts
You know,
are.
what I'm saying is, I think if indeed, like I've heard it from selectmen's meeting, that they wanna set some targets. So are we gonna have a target of what we should be doing? You know, for example, I read through part of this, there's a lovely little area that people wanna put in place out in the water, if they have fish coming along and all. It's not necessary. I mean, we could cancel that or delay it a couple of years. If it was an ambulance, it has to probably be at the top. So, do you want us to do anything like that? Or-
Well, I think it depends on, you're talking about the 4 meetings having a vote, or having all the vote on one night.
I'm talking about, what are we
Yeah,
voting? Are we voting that these are nice things? Or are we voting that these are the things that we think should be done given financial targets?
Well, the financial targets is what Chris is going to come and
Yeah, because
say.
I think that there's gonna be some, just right off the top of my head, the fish one that you're talking about, we would only do that if we get a grant. It was 150,000, I think, last time, and the state paid the whole thing. The other one that we have is the West Harwich, the TIP program.
I'm
That's
just saying-
$6 million. The town has already laid out the funds to do the design of that, and really the only thing left is for the state to fund their portion of it. So would the town want to do or support a $6 million project that's being paid for by the state? But I'll have those funding recommendations in there. I mean, that's what I've historically done, so.
Thanks.
But, yeah.
So that's all talking about. We don't have to do it.
Any other questions? We're missing
I
anything?
just want to thank you for accommodating our schedule.
Well, that's what we're here for. We need your vote. I mean, that's basically.
Yeah, it's a good point. If
I
we don't
mean,
have a quorum.
Yeah, I
hate
mean,
to
that
have
was an
department
issue
heads come
tonight. I
out.
didn't know everybody was going to be here. We're dealing with 6 people now. So we can only lose 2. And if, Joe, then we go down to 3. We have 7, right?
But you need one more from
5.
FinCom, so FinCom, I don't know if,
We don't have a meeting schedules for a short period of time.
okay, I was just wondering if you have
And we're
them.
also short.
They're short.
We're short.
There's Dana DeCosta, just his question came up earlier, so he resigned from the finance committee, and he actually works for the town down at DPW, so he wanted to take a position at the town, so he took a part-time position down there.
Well, you gotta do what you gotta do, and he certainly is a valued asset to the town.
He's got institutional history.
I've been on 2 committees with him, and it's amazing the amount of information he can provide, and also forward-thinking. So he's a valued asset. I really miss having him around, so, you know, but you gotta do what you gotta do.
You gotta return my papers.
He started passing it down. The
Return
agenda
your-
was, no, what did you pass up, Angela? Didn't you pass up the budget calendar?
The budget calendar.
I didn't get it.
Oh, it's in his right hand. That's what he passed up.
That's his.
It was on,
I
Yes.
gave it back, it's mine.
Oh,
I didn't get,
I
I,
don't,
I only-
it to me.
I swear to God.
I passed it to you.
oh, this one.
he already, go back, sorry, I'm sorry.
He wouldn't have, he wouldn't have
Playing
known.
games with us.
I just,
Oh, that's why. I didn't know it was 3 pages long. Gee, no wonder you can't show up. It's like,
Thank you very much, I appreciate it.
I'll send out another copy of the budget calendar electronically so people have it.
okay, I think, do I hear anything? Do I hear a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
And the time of adjournment is, just so she does the minutes easier.
5:18.
5:18.
5:18 PM.
And you can turn it off, please.